It never ends. Less than a week after Jacob Markstrom was traded to the New Jersey Devils, we already have more reports and rumors of more players on the trade block for the Calgary Flames. And I'm not saying I fully agree, but there are some trades that could happen in order to bring in more assets for the future, but lose yet another roster player. We will get into all that and more in this video, but first I want to welcome you to Flames Digest. I am Mark Griffith. If you're new around here and you love the Flames, make sure you subscribe so you can stay up to date on all the latest news, updates, reports, and rumors revolving around your Calgary Flames. We would love to welcome you to the Flames Digest family, but let's hop right into the trade talks never end. Yes, we have even more trade talks to discuss. It seemed as though after finally the Jacob Markstrom trade rumor saga came to an end and he did get dealt, that we'd have a little bit of a break from some trade talks. Well, since then, we've already uploaded a video on the channel about some Andrew Mangiapane trades, and now we have even more. And just, Monge is in this one as well, so you'll just have to stay tuned until the end to see how crazy these players are of who might be on their way out. So let's discuss this here. A little article from NHL Trade Rumors, the website, of course, and this one comes from Michael DeRosa. NHL Rumors, 3 Flames who could be traded next. So yes, we will be looking at 3. The first one is Mangiapane, so if you're sick and tired already of hearing about him, you can skip ahead in the video. Just use the little show index in the description of this video. But let's dive in a little bit here. The Calgary Flames moved another huge piece of their core this week, trading Jacob Markstrom to the New Jersey Devils. It was only the latest big move from the retooling Flames, and it would not be surprising if more of their players found new homes before the start of next season. I don't fully agree with the start of next season, maybe at next year's trade deadline, but we'll get more into that. Because of this, let's discuss 3 more Flames who could be moved this summer now. We will be talking about how they could be traded this summer, but like I just said, it doesn't have to be this offseason. It could be at next year's trade deadline or even further along in the recipe of the the plan, the Conster plan, whatever it's being called these days. But let's hop into the first guy. Like I said, it is Mangiapane. It is our beloved Andrew, as he's known around here on the channel. And there was a video on him the other day, but just quickly, since it is part of the article, we will dive in. So, Andrew Mangiapane. There is an expectation that the Flames will move Mange this summer. He is entering the final season of his current deal, and he's too valuable of an asset to potentially lose for nothing next summer in free agency, because that's exactly what Conroy said he is avoiding when he came in and took over as GM. Interest in Mangiapane's services is skyrocketing because of it, with the Washington Capitals, Nashville Predators, Pittsburgh Penguins, and Carolina Hurricanes in the mix. So all teams that are kind of fringe playoff contenders seem to be interested in our beloved Eat Bread. And this one does make sense to trade him this summer. Get the most back you can for him now. Maybe let him play up to the trade deadline in the upcoming season. Hopefully he can play really well and his value will go up. If not, I don't think too many Flames fans will be disappointed if he is traded this offseason, even though he does still have a full year left on his contract. If the Flames can get something good back, why not let it happen? Let's quickly take a little look at his stats from this past season. So he played 75 games, got 40 points, over a point every other game. And as we know, it might not be the most startling offensive numbers you've ever seen, but there was some great underlying defensive numbers. He played so well defensively with Backlund and Coleman this year on that line that pretty much stayed together the entire season. He's just sort of in the middle of his prime years, we can say, and he's not a bad player at all. I know it's not exactly his 35-goal season from a couple years ago where his value was obviously really high and the Flames signed him to pretty much way too big of a contract, and I think a lot of us knew that at the time as well. That's kind of not talked about enough, I think, of some of the signings and moves made by a certain someone. But either way, we know what Monge is all about, and it would make sense for the Flames to trade him this offseason. I don't think anyone would hate it. That being said, if they do keep him going into next season, I think a lot of people will be fine with that as well. Hopefully he can play well, and I'm sure he will be flipped at the trade deadline, unless somehow the Flames are competing really hard for a playoff spot. If not, just please cruise into that nice rebuild that this franchise desperately needs. Now let's get into man number 2. Slightly talked about in trade rumors before, but we'll dive in more here with Andrei Kuzmenko, the Kuzmenko Show. Oh baby, Kuzmenko, as we know, is so much fun. He's a great player. but he could be on his way out. So let's see what the article does have to say here. Kuzmenko, after a shaky start to the season with the Canucks, Andrei Kuzmenko heated up big time following his trade to the Flames. In 29 games with Calgary, he posted 14 goals and 25 points, almost a point per game. He was spectacular, down the road towards the end of the season. So much fun to watch as well. The fit has been great, but Kuzmenko is also entering the final season of his deal. Could this be enough for the Flames to test his market? He improved his value down the stretch. Now, none of what is said there is a lie. I mean, it's mostly just stats, right? Which are facts. But I don't know. I personally don't think it is in the Flames' best interest to shop him this summer. You could maybe ask around, look at the market. But as of right now, I think the Flames are happy to keep him going into next season. Again, he is someone who could be very valuable at the trade deadline. We didn't really have a player like him going into this year's trade deadline. It was mostly just defensemen. I know we had Lindholm, but he was traded in January, and we got a lot back for him. It could be the same thing again with Kuzmenko. A forward, especially one who has a nose for the net, could be extremely valuable at the trade deadline. I would much rather keep him through the offseason and through the first half of next season at the least. And honestly, I wouldn't be too upset if the Flames do end up holding on to him. You kind of need some sort of NHL players at some point, but I'm sure there will be lots of videos on the channel later at that time if he is more involved in these trade rumors. But of course, we will hop into his stats from past seasons. So this goes over both teams, and that's why it might not be the most, eye-popping numbers you've ever seen offensively. So 46 points in 72 games, but as we saw before, in 29 games with the Flames, he had 25 points. So good. He was scoring nonstop, it seemed. We know his defensive numbers aren't great. He was a -9 in total last year. But what we got to remember is this guy was playing less than 15 minutes per game this past season. He was getting nothing when he was over on Vancouver. And then we all know what happened with Vancouver. They ended up pretty much pooping the bed when they played against the Oilers. Just like what Florida's doing right now. I really hope tomorrow isn't, the end of some of us. But either way, we'll stick on Kuzmenko here. Again, I don't necessarily want him to be traded this offseason. You could maybe ask around, but we would have to be offered an arm and a leg to get rid of this guy right now because his value will almost certainly go up and his value will be so high at next year's trade deadline. We'll just have to wait and see. I personally love a little koozie doozy, and I want him to be a Flame at the beginning of next season. Now, this last person might be a little bit shocking, so I have made the chapter of this one him too. At this point, what Flame hasn't been on the trade block, or at least in trade rumors? Well, there's one guy who hasn't come up once, and I actually purposely didn't use him in the thumbnail of this video either because I thought it was kind of surprising that he was involved in this as well. And who is it? Drum roll, please. Boom, let's get in. It is Blake Coleman, the Texas Tiger, Pickles, whatever you want to call him, the man with a million nicknames. Blake Coleman had a magnificent season, posting new career highs with 30 goals, 24 assists, and 54 points. Due to his big year, the 32-year-old's trade value is at its highest, and there's an argument to be had that the Flames should listen to offers for him because of it. And this is super interesting. This is saying, look, it's another guy who had a career year with the Flames. Thank goodness it wasn't a contract year. And who knows? We could actually end up shopping Blake Coleman. I don't think it's all that bad of an idea. However, again, kind of like Kuzmenko, I don't know if it's the best idea to do this summer. I think a lot of people would rather have Coleman going into next season. He fills a perfect roster spot that I don't think anyone is upset about that isn't being taken by one of the younger players. And we care more about the future assets more anyway than our current prospects because at this point, Zary, Pospisil, Wolf, they're all considered actual NHL players now. I know a lot of people want to see Coronado come up. We got a few more, but hopefully there will be some great ones in the future. So that way, Blake Coleman, I think it's fine, and he can play out more of his contract here in Calgary. But like we do here, let's take a deeper look at his numbers from past season. So as I said before, career year offensively, he was a +19 on a Flames team that wasn't all that great. I know a lot of those goals were empty netters, but still, very, very impressive season from the good old Texas Tiger, one of the leaders of this pack of hyenas. And I think it's valuable to have a player like him, who isn't all that big, but has proven how to win at great times. He's a Stanley Cup champion, and he can show what some smaller guys can do defensively and do great things with their game, and even offensively too. He was second in the team in goals. Just a fantastic season there once again from the Texas Tiger. I do not want to trade him this offseason, and I don't even know about the trade deadline next year. But to hear his name come up, am I surprised? No, because I think at this point, pretty much every Flame will be roped up in that, even our untouchables like Zary. But either way, lots of trade rumors. I know a lot of people think this is just a trade rumor channel at this point, but that's just the way it is right now. That is what we are talking about. And of course, I will keep you updated with all of it. And I want to know your thoughts down below in the comments. Should the Flames look to be shopping any of guys this summer, or when should they look to try and shop these guys around? Now let's wrap up this video with the comment of the day. Everyone's favorite part of the day, of course. And this one, I liked it right here from good old user Taryn Boot. What a name. My free agent pitch would be simple. We are a rebuilding team that can give a decent contract for 2 years. We want a winning hockey culture for our rookie players and can give older players some cash. If they exceed all expectations, they can be traded at the deadline for a chance at the cup. Otherwise, they can relax for their final NHL years and collect the bread. So pretty much our free agency pitch, because of yesterday's video, we're not, giving away a ton of term. You might get some good money, but it won't be for long. That's a great free agency pitch. We can get some value out of you. You can teach our young guys something. And look, if we're not very good at all, guess what? We'll ship you away to a contender. No worries. We're happy to do that. Or if you want to just cruise, who knows? Maybe we'll be good and you'll get your money. Fantastic. I love this mindset. I think that's exactly what Conroy should be doing. Maybe not quite to a perfect T. There's more stipulations involved in there, but I do really like that a lot. Thank you for commenting that. Thank you for watching this video. Please subscribe, like what you saw here today, and have a wonderful rest of your day.